Let's also talk about the clear failure of Doge based on their own set goals. Look at who adds more to the debt, and it is the Republicans. We started at $2 trillion. Then we moved to $1 trillion. Now we're at $160 billion.
Let's hop into an episode of Fox News The Five as they discuss the debt and deficit as economic concerns grow as Trump has led us into economic decline. So if you can, take a moment, leave us a like. We appreciate it. It really helps us out. And let's get into the debate.
Why don't Democrats care about the debt? Go back through history and look at who adds more to the debt. And it is the Republicans. Look at the reconciliation bill that they want to push through. $4.5 trillion. Donald Trump added more than everyone.
But we can wait for that.
Okay, we have to talk about this quickly because it's a talking point MAGA is trying to bring back either disingenuously or because they're not intelligent enough to understand how debt is signed into law and approved on a 10-year basis. But Republicans historically have added more to the debt and deficit, and they're also just worse for the economy all around historically. You can look those up yourself. And Trump personally added more debt in one term than any president in history, like a quarter of our debt, right? Anyone can check this again. The Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, they track this for every president. They have since 1981. It's a nonprofit, independent organization. It was started by a Republican and a Democrat. And again, 1981. And you can see here through them on the report, Biden added $4.7 trillion to the debt. He signed into law $6.6 trillion of debt, but matched with that was legislation that was $1.9 trillion for debt reduction. That offset almost $2 trillion of that debt. Well, Trump himself signed $8.4 trillion of debt into law with very minimal few $100 billion in debt reduction. A lot of MAGA will try to say, but the debt went up X amount under Biden and X amount under Trump. Well, yeah, because when you approve debt, it doesn't always start into sign into law in that year. Like, for instance, the American Rescue Plan was signed into law in 2022. None of the spending and expenditures, and it went into law until 2023. Welcome to how government spending works.
Let's also talk about the clear failure of Doge based on their own set goals. We started at $2 trillion. Then we moved to $1 trillion. Now we're at $160 billion.
For now, right now. It keeps adding up.
It is a problem. You want to always compare things.
I didn't see Congress doing that.
If you want to, which you always do, to compare this to private sector standards, if you hired McKinsey to come in and to cut $2 trillion, then they said, oh, we'll get you $1 billion. Then they say, we'll get you $160 billion. You'd say, you're not doing a very good job. And also, maybe you were spreading lies about what's actually going on in the federal government.
I'm just curious what we think the Fox News response would be if Biden fell 97% short on literally anything, jobs number, GDP growth, anything that he promised. Like, would they be this charitable or would it be like, just wait for it or what? And of this $160 billion that Doge did cut, they can actually only prove $63 billion of that. So it's an even worse, even more abysmal failure than they're trying their hardest to pretend it can be here, and yet MAGA is still saying Doge rocks. I mean, at this point, again, these people are delusional. There's no reason justifying it, and there's no level of failure, destruction of government or economic policy, or anything. The market, nothing can be destroyed by Trump that these people would be like, yeah, he did bad.
The real story of Doge is that Elon Musk has $38 billion in government contracts, has not had a penny of his money touched. Well, he's going around cutting other people's contracts. And there was a new congressional report out this week that found that he was up for $2.37 billion in potential fines across 11 agencies. And what has he been doing? He has been cutting the people who are investigating him. If that doesn't smell like corruption, I don't know what does.
He's up for a fine. Let's make sure that he gets a fine before you start saying he's up for a fine.
If you get rid of the investigator, you were an investigator.
This is just a moment where we have to, again, take a second, Usfraba, and just point out the delusion by MAGA. These clowns will say, oh, more people voted than we think is possible, so that's proof of corruption. A temporary federal worker also worked for Alvin Bragg when he prosecuted Trump. That's proof of corruption. Hunter Biden worked for Burisma when Biden was the vice president and a prosecutor was fired. That's proof of corruption. Even after all evidence, court cases, investigations, all these things come out and it shows nothing was wrong or no evidence can actually be shown of wrongdoing. They're all like, well, it's common sense. We all saw it happen. And then Elon Musk literally waltzes into a government role as the richest man in the world without even getting a background check because he's promising to cut $2 trillion. And he instead just fires everyone who's investigating him and his companies and gets himself a nice SpaceX contract and then pieces out. And MAGA is like, well, no, it's legit to me, dude. I already messed with the computers and stuff.